Sounds good. Cool. Got the thumbs up. Great, guys. Well, welcome again to another community call for Step. And we haven't had one of these for a while because I guess I've been out and about in the world at the Solana Hacker House and a bunch of other different things. So exciting, lot to catch up on, and some updates with Step as well that we're going to talk about. Maybe some also just general things that are happening in the Solana world. So yeah, tune in. Any other comments or anything, just reply to this thread or this Twitter post, and we'll see if we can sneak it in before the end of the call. But I am joined by Kristin, who is our expert designer at Step. How are you, Kristin?
I am good, thanks, George. Hi there, everybody. Good to be on the call again.
Indeed. Last time we had Kristin was, I don't know, a month or two ago or something like that. And we're going to make it more of a regular occurrence, at least for the foreseeable future. And yeah, have some fun. So let's get into it, I guess. Yeah, look, so people maybe would have seen, if they're following my Twitter, which, by the way, everyone should, that we were recently at the Solana Hacker House in Singapore, and that was a really great event, probably one of the larger ones that you would see throughout the world. In fact, now they have a permanent Solana Hacker House in Singapore that's run by MetaCamp. And yeah, look, we got to meet all of the different community projects, lots of DeFi protocols. Pretty much all of the people that we talked to as anonymous pictures on the internet were there, so it was really good. And you know what? One of the key takeaways, I guess, for me at least, was everyone was sort of really happy to see each other and talk about what we can do together. And everyone knew Step. That was great. But also, sort of my main pitch to everyone was, okay, bear market, converting normies quite hard, quite expensive as well. And I think everyone came to that same conclusion. So really, I think the way to grow DeFi in a market like this is through sort of cross-protocol collaboration. So it's being able to do more AMAs, more guides, more content essentially with other projects. And that's, I think, the way forward that a lot of people are looking to, because pretty much like, okay, let's say you want to sell like, oh, I do leveraged call option futures products. Like, is that something that is easy to explain to normies, especially in a market like this? Probably not. So I think actually the most fertile grounds for a lot of DeFi protocols is with all of the people that are already in crypto. So yeah, we had a lot of those discussions. I think also there's going to be some exciting new things coming up soon, which we can't really talk about, that we're working on with a couple of friends of Step. And yeah, look, it was a great event. So it's all sort of, for the Solana ecosystem at least, everything's heading towards Lisbon. And Lisbon next month is the sort of big Solana conference. So there's going to be a lot more stuff happening there, and probably a lot more announcements by everyone. But yeah, that's, I guess, it from me on that front. Kristin, any thoughts on being able to convert normies to crypto? Easy, hard, expensive? What do you think the best path forward there is, or should it even be done at all?
Yeah, hard and expensive, I think. I think that the world does a better job of it than probably everyone in crypto does. So what I mean by that is that the shittiness of fiat tends to reveal itself far sooner than the difficulty of like using DeFi or everything that we're doing in crypto. So as the world kind of falls apart, sounds kind of bad to say, but as the world kind of falls apart, it really illustrates all of the use cases that we've all kind of seen and been building for a long time. I think one thought came to mind just while you were saying that, actually, about like what's difficult about building in this space and onboarding and retaining users. Retaining users especially, I think, is quite challenging in crypto because money is involved, right? So if we were running a typical SaaS, like software as a service, and say it's Facebook or something like that, and if you want to engage and retain users, it's relatively trivial, because if someone is going to be a Facebook user, they're probably not going to lose their entire life savings by using Facebook. Whereas when it comes to a product in DeFi or something like that, there could just be risks that they're not aware of, and they might actually hurt themselves. So even if your product works and works as intended, or if there's a bug of some sort as well, and people lose money because of it, then retaining users is very, very difficult. You're kind of selling knives more than you are something a little bit safer. So yeah, I think that's one particular challenge that we have in this space that, especially in bear markets, gets pretty tough, especially for complex products as well. So for things that are a little bit more sort of simple, well, not simple, but framed in more accessible terms, things like option vaults, for example, I think those sorts of things can really shine during these types of conditions, whereas more complex products, people can and do occasionally hurt themselves with, which hinders adoption as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point, and I think a lot of crypto is still very financial at the moment. Like as much as we try and make it not about that, like it is. Maybe that is the use case for crypto, though, right? Like maybe 10 years from now, we're all still going to be talking about various financial things. Like NFTs have come along, GameFi as a thing has also come along. Will that sort of break the hold of financial stuff? I don't really think so. Like, I think a lot of those things are enhanced by the financial stuff which is going on, right? Like, if you're playing a game and your spaceship is now worth some real money, like fundamentally, it's now kind of financialized, right? So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's maybe something which can't like nobody can really escape from, but maybe that's okay, and that's a feature, not a bug. But certainly the point about like you know the existing fiat system being absolutely terrible. I had experiences. I still have experience. I'm like 3 days in trying to do a transfer from my bank, and it's going to take 4 days, and I have to do it in 4 parts because, like, TLDR, long story short, like nothing works and it's terrible. So yeah, day 3, I have to remember to like wake up tomorrow and schedule it at the right time when the bank is working past 9 a.m. Like all of these kind of dumb things, which don't really exist in crypto. And I think we all agree that anything that is a crypto payment, like it is fundamentally easier to do. Yeah, it's just about all of the parts to get to that point. Setting up a wallet, getting the crypto in the first place, all these sorts of things are perhaps a lot harder.
And then once you're in, like, you kind of have to stay in the ecosystem as well. Like, I've been living on crypto for years. My second job is basically getting and keeping bank accounts open because I get de-risked so regularly. And even today now, I'm getting messages from FTX compliance for some reason. I don't know why. So it's even kind of creeping into more of the crypto services now as well. But yeah, it's just disgusting when you have to interact with conventional financial services. I really don't understand when people say that the banking system is fine and there's nothing wrong with it and it works well, because that's literally never been my experience once. And certainly, if you live in non-USD currencies and then start to interact with crypto as well, it just snowballs into an absolutely monstrously difficult problem.
Yep, 100%, 100%. Well, I guess also we can talk a little bit about Step and how we're making the world a simpler and better place. So that was my transition from the terrible banking system. But good news is Steph is here to help you out. So I guess just recapping some of the things that we've done recently. There's been a couple of deployments, Ratio, UXD, Psi options, new integrations now on Step. The Psi option vaults. I think that's the part of Psi options that we've got. UXD, I think that's the different positions that they're taking on UXD itself, or maybe that's the staking, sorry, within the protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ratio itself, which also has really cool vaults and a lot of different cool things. So definitely check it out. Take a look at some of those protocols, all sort of doing really great stuff. UXD, I guess, is so they're all doing interesting things. UXD, the stablecoin that is a delta hedged position. I think that's kind of a unique thing throughout crypto. I don't know if anyone else is doing that. I think they play a lot on Mango and stuff like that. So they're long one and then short on the perp, and then basically it's neutral. So then they tokenize that and make a stable coin out of it. So that's a cool, unique concept there. So definitely check those guys out. Psi option vaults, like you mentioned, Kristin, really making the world a lot easier. And some of Ratio's vaults as well, which I think is quite a lot of the yield farms that are still going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some whirlpools for USDR as well, if I remember rightly.
There you go. Yeah. Well, talking of whirlpools as well, claiming rewards directly from your Orca Whirly as well is now on Step. I guess so. There's probably a few things that we at Step can add as like buttons on the UI, but we don't want to add everything. But certainly, I think the claiming of yield is one thing that we've done before. It's been around since forever. We were pretty much the first to do that with radium, and then we had the auto compounding with radium yield farms as well. And now we have claiming from orca whirlpools. People might question the like, can you auto compound a orca whirlpool? The TLDR is it's a lot more difficult. So it like the balancing is quite difficult because it can not be 50-50 in terms of the amount of rewards that you get. Like you could get 100 rewards of one token and then one reward of another token. So like it becomes quite difficult to balance. So for the moment, we're not pursuing that route. We're just allowing you to claim direct from step, and then you can do what you want with the rewards. But yeah, are you loving the Orca Whirly life, Kristin?
Oh, absolutely. I've been a massive Whirlpool user from day zero. Most of the team is whirling 24/7. I love them. I think CLMMs are just like the greatest things since sliced bread. They're so versatile, easy to use, relatively easy to understand, I think, as well. Like there's just a lot to love.
Yeah, my prediction is going to come true. That by the end of the year, 99% of all AMM, TBL, and volume will be on concentrated liquidity pools. So, yeah, that's looking good so far. We've also got Star Atlas open orders that are now showing up on Step as well. So we also have some more Star Atlas stuff coming soon, I think, and a bunch of bug fixes, and also Dialect, which for those who have used the Dialect inbox, it's very cool. You'll see an updated version on Step. So a lot of different cool things. And yeah, I guess this month as well, because pretty much the entire Solana ecosystem is going to be going to Lisbon, or at least those who have been granted visas. That's a problem, but on to another topic. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are going to have to get everything done before the end of this month, because while everyone's there, there's just going to be a lot of meetings and discussions and that sort of thing. And judging from last year, it wasn't. I guess there's hacker houses and stuff which are good, but productivity maybe is probably going to be lesser during that small time period. So anyway, that looks good. So we'll try and get out some more updates, I think, before we head out. Cool.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I guess we can also maybe touch on some of the other cool sort of things we've got in the pipeline. Referrals being one of them. Now, referrals, on-chain referrals, this has been something which we've been sort of working on for a while. I think it's now almost ready. Pretty sure it's in final testing, has been for a while. But on-chain referrals should be pretty exciting. The initial thesis was, look, this is a link which you can give someone, and when that person does something like swap on Step, you get a kickback. So kind of simple referral system that we're all familiar with. But in the on-chain world, doing it's quite a lot more difficult than just shilling a FTX link. Like an FTX link, it's a centralized service. It's actually quite easy to build that kind of system. But when you build something on-chain, there's all sorts of different exploits, or you can have a bot that goes and claims things and all this sorts of stuff. So we've got to be a bit more aware about how things are structured as well. Just Kristin, I think there's some feedback on the speaker, so maybe just mute.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, so referrals coming soon. Going to be very exciting. So look forward to that. Yeah, I don't know, Kristin, do you have any thoughts on referrals in general, or the implementation in Step? I know you've done a lot of the design work behind that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. So just to the earlier point about adoption and things like that as well, I know that people might remember that in one of our recent releases as well, we added Turkish language support in the app. That combined with something like our referrals feature is some of the mechanisms that we are relying on to start growing, a bigger community around Step and just DeFi generally as well. The real thing we want people to do with this referral mechanism, especially for influencers, is to get them actively out there, showcasing all the things you can do with Step and just helping it be more of a gateway to DeFi generally. And if that's happening along all these different language-based communities, then that's going to multiply all of those efforts as well. So that's probably what I'm most excited about, is just seeing that Turkish community initially flourishing, and then other languages as we add them as well, with that referrals mechanism being the main thing that drives it.
Yeah, and this is like, we've seen this happen before. We've seen referrals drive a lot of volume. and they drive a lot of interest and traction in a lot of things. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. I know that there are some other referral ecosystems in existence. This, I think, will be a little bit of a unique spin on things. But fundamentally, I think it's great, and it's good for everyone. Like, why not give someone the link? Because you're going to make some money from it. So that totally makes sense. So yeah, that should be coming soon. And as I said, hopefully we'll try and get as much as we can out before Lisbon and before the Solana ecosystem goes there. So there's that. I guess another thing that we're talking about as well, newsletters, Step Data Insights. A couple of cool things recently. The Step, Samo, and Star Atlas. We had a recent post about some of those different communities and what's really going on there. If you haven't already, check out the Step Data Insights Twitter. That's really cool. We have new things happening every couple of weeks there. And basically, we're looking at some of the on-chain stuff from all around the ecosystem and putting that into a digestible sort of context for everyone. So definitely check that out. What else we got here? Well, yeah, we had a slight hiccup with the Solana blockchain earlier in the week, where it halted / forked, and then, but luckily it was up, I think, in a couple of hours again. So yeah, that was something to be aware of. Unfortunately, it's something that we've seen before. Clearly not good, but at least it restarts and things get going again. To be honest, the way that Solana coordinates these kind of things, like people will troll and be like, "Oh, turn the on and off button again." It would be much easier if there was an on and off button. Unfortunately, you've got to coordinate with however many thousands of validators there are now. I think it's like 2,000 or 3,000 or something. Different validators that are on the Solana network. So coordination game is quite a thing to be done. But yeah, look, it seems like that was been streamlined as well recently, and that was because of the latest update. Solana's doing a lot of updates to make things faster as well. So we're seeing less of the issues with transaction throughput that we saw at the start of the year. So certainly, that's something to be aware of. So yeah, that's I don't know, anything to add there, Kristin? Thoughts, comments?
Yeah,
Solana?
I also am pretty impressed with how good the community is getting at coordinating these restarts. I mean, it's possibly the wrong thing to optimize for, but I think when you view it, against the background of Solana still having a higher Nakamoto coefficient than Ethereum, so we are, functionally more decentralized in a pretty meaningful way, that we are able to, at the human level, start getting everything in place to get everything going again, I think is a real testament to how strong the community is. It's also a sign, I think, of like how I think that human layer is pretty neglected in most other communities, and they pretend that it doesn't exist, as though consensus can exist on chain without it being a reflection of some sort of actual social consensus as well. So it's good that we have that strong and we've got that muscle there, because it is needed when things go bad, in my opinion.
Totally. Yeah. For sure. So we got that. There's a couple of other things, I guess, in the Solana world. Like, people are talking about this helium thing. I don't really know what helium is. I haven't looked into it. Something about Wi-Fi hotspots in America, and they have a blockchain, and they want to do Solana or something like that. I don't know. But there's quite a few different sort of people that are interested. Basically, TLDR is other big companies moving to do stuff on chain. Is probably a trend that is good to see actually happening. I don't know, like, I guess we've seen a lot of NFTs being a use case for companies to get involved with. Like, I guess they maybe see NFTs as like, hey, all of the Zoomers are doing stuff with these NFT things. Maybe we, as, let's say, McDonald's, should issue an NFT and do stuff. Pretty sure none of those has worked out. Like, I mean, go check Solana Floor and look at the top, whatever 50 projects. It's not McDonald's NFTs that are the number one. Nobody cares about that. People want to buy pictures of monkeys and things like that, right? So it don't think there's a product market fit there for a lot of these, I guess, Web 2 companies that are trying to get on board. I don't know. What do you think? Like, is there a fit for some of these Web 2 companies? Do they have to fundamentally change their business model? I guess one interesting thing, like, people have been trying to do decentralized social media for a long time. Never really taken off. that's maybe something that's probably a good use case for crypto. But yeah, maybe McDonald's NFTs, not so much.
Yeah, I think that for me, where NFTs cross over with adoption as well is probably more around GameFi than anything else. That was probably what got me most excited about Star Atlas initially as well. Is it was pretty obvious to me that this could be like a really engaging universe, and NFTs as a piece in that is something that could really bring a lot of people in. Yeah, that for me is where the real crossover is. For a lot of other NFT communities, I'm not entirely sure how it's pulling new people into the space. It does feel a lot like a hot ball of money rolling around from project to project, chain to chain. I'm not entirely sure if I'm right about that. I might be wrong. Happy to be corrected. But certainly the activity of NFTs on Solana is like really, really coming to the fore, which is good. So
Yeah, so that was one thing that I heard from the rest of the Solana community in Singapore was there's something like 4 NFT AMMs now, or at least there's 4 that people are building or something. I don't know if they're all launched, but A, there's a lot of competition. B, fees are still really high for them. So I was talking to some people and they're like, oh, we can charge 1% for a swap. That's insane. Like that's way better than what you get in DeFi world. Pretty sure it's going to be a fight to zero there as well. But I think bridging some of those communities is going to be super important. So I guess introducing DeFi people more to NFTs and NFTs people more to DeFi. That's probably what these kind of things do. Like, one thing at Step that we're always thinking about is how do we showcase a lot more of what else is going on in the ecosystem to people, because often people might, and I know I've introduced friends as well who like they'll have some soul in their wallet and they'll maybe have like one other thing, or maybe they've bought an NFT or something like that, or they've just staked the soul or done something like that. They don't know that there's like 50 million other different things that you can be doing out there. So how do you tell people about that, and how do you tell people about that in a meaningful way? We do have the opportunities page on Step, which is like one sort of way that we're looking to do that. But yeah, just TLDR, like according to our analytics, like 20 times more people are on the dashboard than they are on the opportunities page. So definitely, it seems that yeah, maybe it's still needs some more work on getting that message out there. I don't know. What do you think, Kristin? How do we get everyone to know about all of the different cool stuff that you can do? Or is that even a problem that is solvable? I don't know if it is.
it's tough, I think, because so a lot of one of the challenges that we have when we do what we do with Step is that we inherit a lot of debt from all the different projects that exist. Sometimes that's technical debt. In my case, it's certainly design debt. There is a lot of UX debt that we inherit from all these different projects. So trying to stitch this together into some sort of like coherent experience that makes sense in the form of a portfolio is pretty challenging, because what we have to do is figure out what is the appropriate, I guess, model to display all of this? Because on the one side, you've got implementation models, which is how something is built, and then you've got mental models, which is the models that you have in your mind as a person when you're using something. Sometimes those two things overlap quite a lot, and everything's quite easy. Very often they don't, and so there's this whole act of mediation that we need to do as a product, where we're trying to figure out what is the right way to intervene in that relationship to make it so that what we have in the dashboard is a useful way to model what's happening in DeFi. And so one of the ways we do that is with all the different categories that we have on the dashboard. We've got like staking, margin trading, lending, et cetera, et cetera. Having that sort of a structure, I think, helps tease out some of the relationships between these things. And the thinking, at least currently, is that if we can focus on helping people understand the relationships between all these different protocols, but also between your different positions in your portfolio, then that's probably going to lead you down the path of then knowing, hey, I've got this type of exposure. Maybe it's time for me to hedge in some way, shape, or form with one of the options protocols, or some sort of line of thinking like that. That's kind of the current approach for it.
Yeah, and it's certainly easier if we just chucked everything over the fence and just said everything is miscellaneous and you figure it out. Like, I know that there's perhaps some things out there which do that. But look, I agree. I don't think that's the best way to handle it. So yeah, it does take quite a lot of work often, and a lot of it is manual work as well, sort of deciphering how this particular protocol and thing would fit into how many modules we have now. We have like 15 different modules or something like that. I don't know. It's over
Very
10
close
now,
to
right?
that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of different things going on. Speaking of different things going on, I also made a post today, which I think Step retweeted, about burning NFTs. There's some NFTs going around, which, interestingly enough, so Google has this sort of, when you go to a website on Google, like it'll look it up against some list, and then if it's on a list that Google doesn't like, then it will warn you and say, oh, there's potential malware and stuff. So actually, one of those domains was embedded in the NFT metadata of one of these NFTs, which like get spammed out to all of these different addresses on chain. I had some wallets which had that NFT, because the scammers like will just go and send it everywhere, and it's like, oh, you won a thing, click the link, and you have to like click on the NFT to go and see that, and maybe people think they win something, but actually it's like they're trying to steal your money basically. But anyway, Google, like when we visited Step today and I connected one of those wallets, Google and Brave had picked that up as a thing, and then it sort of said, hey, this whole domain could be doing dodgy stuff, and it was actually because of the NFT. So the solution was to burn the NFT and get the soul back for it. So that's what I did, and then that solves the problem. So if you are seeing that, definitely connect your wallet to Step and just burn the NFT, get rid of it, because yeah, otherwise your browser might pick it up as something which is bad or whatever. And the cool thing is that these scammers, when they send out these NFTs, they have to pay Sol to send it to your address, right? So like you can get that soul back. So you're literally getting paid to, it's like reading junk mail. Like when you get junk mail in your IRL letterbox, you just sort of throw it in the trash, right? But this time you're actually getting paid a little bit of soul, which is really cool. So definitely check out that sort of function in Step for burning sort of NFTs or tokens as well. There's a lot of tokens which are annoying and just get spammed out as like a marketing thing. You can also burn them in Step as well. So definitely check out that feature. That's pretty cool.
Free money. It's an airdrop, but not in the way they intend it.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah. So look, we've covered quite a bit of stuff that we've got going on. I guess some retrospectives from the rest of the community. And yeah, I guess, is there any other sort of thoughts or comments that we should touch on before we head off? You mentioned the Turkish language support as well was something which we recently had on Step as well since we last spoke. So that's super cool. So definitely stay posted. There's going to be some more Star Atlas things, I think, coming soon, as well as potentially a few more integrations as well for the rest of this month. But and of course, hopefully we can get referrals out to everyone pretty soon. That's going to be really exciting. It's going to be great to finally get that out and get that in everyone's hands. So yeah, any other thoughts or comments before we go, Kristin?
No, the only question I've got on my mind, though, probably on a lot of people's mind, is when moon. Any price any price guesses on the market generally?
When moon? What a great question. Wow, I wish more people asked that one. I don't know. Like I guess we're in a bear market right now, as everyone's probably painfully aware. And in that kind of conditions, like nothing can go up. But there's always hope on the horizon. I don't make price predictions. I would just be wrong if I did, or basically anyone who does is always wrong. So I think the main thing is just what we're focused on is just to continue building stuff and to continue providing value and building useful things that solve problems for people, and ultimately solve problems enough that maybe people are willing to pay for them in future. Of course, we're all building towards our crescendo, which we haven't maybe discussed yet on this call, but we certainly have been a lot, is our whole analytics platform that we're building out at Step. So hopefully that's, I've always said before the end of the year, hopefully we're on track for something there. We're certainly going as fast as we can. So yeah, look, that's going to be super exciting Step, but with analytics on all of these different projects, telling you kind of like a more detailed version of Nansen, what's going on, utilizing all of the data that we have with all of our different integrations that we have already. So it's stuff like that, right? We're continuing to build cool things, and yeah, I think that's all you can do, right? everyone can wish for moon tomorrow, but often moon will come when you stop asking for moon. And then one day you're going to wake up and it's moon. And then you're like, oh man, I totally missed it. That's usually what happens like 100% of the time.
It's true, isn't it? Yep. Always catches everyone.
Yep. Or there's useful strategies which people can use even when it's not moon. So, like the options vaults or some of the delta hedge stuff. It's all good stuff. So definitely check out some of those things. But yeah, awesome. Okay. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Definitely check out the Step Discord if you haven't already. Come join the crew there. We're all pretty friendly. Check out Solana Floor for all of your NFT things. And yeah, we'll be back again soon. So yeah, thanks for joining me again, Kristin. It's been a pleasure.
No problem, George. Pleasure as always. And thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you on the flip side.